Good morning, everybody. I'm Tom Bracey with Remax Elite Homes, and today is October 25th. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about wells and water testing and your transactions, okay? So I thought I would call it, well, what do you know? Okay? So it seems like we have lots of questions and things come up when we're writing our offers about wells, water testing, and how that affects our transactions, okay? So I'm going to take a couple of minutes and do that for you to try to help you out. There's three kinds of things we're going to talk about, okay? The first are your community wells and your homeowners associations that are, typically out in your rural subdivisions. The second one is private property with private wells that serve just one home. And then the third one is shared wells. Sometimes there's properties that might be 2 or 3 homes that are on one well, and some of the issues that are involved with that. Okay, let's take the rural subdivisions first. The rural subdivisions that are out in your away from your city limits are typically served by one well, 2 wells. I've seen rural subdivisions with a couple hundred houses that might have 4 or 5 wells. In any event, there are many homes that are use one well, and those are all controlled by the homeowners associations that are in control of those subdivisions. Typically, the homeowners associations will collect the fees for the water usage and the maintenance of the well. Okay, when they do those water tests in those subdivisions, those are all controlled by the DNR. Okay, we're going to focus mostly on Iowa today, but the DNR is going to regulate the chemicals that might be coming into that well, coliform, nitrates, copper, lead, sodium, fluoride, different things that go in there. And again, part of your dues that you pay are for those tests. Okay, very safe. And usually as a realtor, you don't really need to worry about those wells because they're maintained well and the water is going to be monitored very closely. Okay, so of the 3, those are probably the best wells. All right, and it's usually pretty easy to get the information for your closing or for your buyer because the well's tested regularly, the water's tested regularly, so that information is easily gathered through the HOA. So you can you don't have to worry too much about that typically. Okay. The second one is our private wells on rural properties, and usually again there's just one well. On page 4 of your offer, you're going to want to make sure you get the well tested and the water tested, okay? And this is where realtors get confused. They think a well inspection means a water test. It does not. A well inspection deals with the pump, the pressure, the mechanicals, the electrical that operate the well to get the water up to the property, okay? So don't confuse a well inspection with a water test. On page 4 of your offer, you'll see 2 places, one for well, one for water, and you're going to generally check both of those, okay? Again, you can have a well inspection done. They usually run about $120 to $200 to have somebody go out, check the mechanicals of the well, and they'll actually test the water for you. They'll take it into a lab to get it tested, and then you can get that accomplished usually within a week or 10 days, okay? About the same time you're doing your whole house inspection, you can be getting that done, okay? One thing you want to do is stay out of that, okay? So you don't want to offer to take in a water sample. You don't want the other realtor taking a water sample and taking that into a lab, okay? There's just too much conflict of interest when the realtors are getting involved, so you want to make sure you have that done outside of your responsibilities, okay? Some of the issues that we run into with wells, private wells, is that if they're older, maybe they're too close to the septic system, and there's really strict regulations now on how close a water source can be from a septic. So it's good to try to find out the age of the well and get as much information as you can about the well. If you're listing a property, okay, as a listing agent, be on top of that. Make sure you talk to your seller ahead of time about the importance of the well inspection and the water testing. And just like with getting a home pre-inspected, I recommend you get the well checked and the water tested as soon as you can. If you can do it before you list the house, that's just one less thing you're going to have to deal with later. Okay. Last but not least is the shared well. Okay. There's probably more problems with shared wells than the other two we mentioned, and there's numerous reasons for that, and you can probably imagine what kinds of things can come up with a shared well. Number one, lenders really don't like shared wells because, okay, who owns the well? Where is the well? Is it on the neighbor's property? There can be title issues. Attorneys don't like to, have a well that you're using to be on someone else's property. Is there a shared well agreement? Is there an easement there for that well? Who maintains the electricity bill to operate the pump? Who tests for the well, and how's that paid for? And sometimes with shared wells, there's just a handshake and a gentleman's agreement about who's going to take care of it and who pays for it. But when it comes time to actually sell the property, then you run into these issues sometimes. Okay, so make sure you know your wells, know your water. Hopefully, you'll have few problems by kind of dealing with these things ahead of time and understanding exactly what is going on. So know your wells, know your water, and represent your clients to the best of your ability ahead of time. Okay, everybody have a good day and stay dry.